my name is Lynn and this is the Darbin Notes channel. Welcome! Today I thought we'd have a little shop update. Well, I don't know if you guys have been following me on Instagram or social media lately, but I've been putting some pictures up of some mallets that I've been working on for like the past month or so. I've just been having a lot of fun with these, and I'm making a couple for myself and I just love them so much, and I thought, well, maybe some other people would like these too. So on my new website I've included a small shop. And in the shop I have a couple of these mallets. So each mallet is handcrafted and has a solid head, which means it's not laminated. So you can take the head off and it's two separate pieces. So there are no wedges in them or anything. They're meant you can take them off and store them, and then you can just slip them back in again. And so I have a couple of different sizes here. I have these really large ones, and I have medium size, and I have small ones. And mostly the reason why I've been making different sizes is just because, you know, one piece of wood that I have to work with is smaller, and I think, okay, well, this would make a great small mallet, and I just kind of work with whatever wood I have. So I really let the wood talk to me and tell me what it wants to become. If it wants to become a medium-sized mallet, then that's what I made. So I mostly worked with with the walnut for the heads and oak for the handles, although this one's made out of myrtle wood, which is native to Oregon, with a walnut handle, and this one's pretty cool. But anyway, I find these are really awesome. They are really kind of substantial and solid, and I think they're pretty cool. So maybe somebody else would be interested in them too. And if they are, they can go and check them out on the website. Another thing that I've included in the shop is something that I use all the time. And that is my wax polish. Now, you guys have probably seen me use this over and over and over again. And I do that because I just love it. I think it's just great. So, I've included one with linseed oil, raw linseed oil, and one with tung oil. If you've never seen tung oil, it's very interesting. It's like close to motor oil in terms of consistency. It's quite thick, and yeah, it's quite interesting. So here there's wax melted in here, and this is a 4-to-1 part mix, 4 parts oil, 1 part wax. And I really like that combination because it's soft but not too soft. You know, it has some shape to it, but it's not hard to work with. So I really like that combination. So this looks pretty good now. These are 4-ounce tins that I special ordered. So I got a couple of these, and I think they're going to be really nice for the wax. So now over here I have the tung oil wax that is hardening up. And I'm working with the linseed oil one now. And there's linseed oil in here. This is raw linseed oil, so no metal dryers. And you can see how much greener it is. The tung oil has a very different color to it, and a different smell too. But it's just so cool how green it is. So I just the raw, natural linseed oil, and I'm just combining with the wax here again and making sure it's all well combined. I'm using the same 4-to-1 ratio with the linseed oil, 4 parts linseed oil and 1 part wax. You know, the reason why I'm putting this in the shop is because, you know, I've been using them and I love them so much, and every once in a while I get a question from somebody asking me, do I sell them? And I haven't up to this point. I said, hey, go make your own. This is how I make it. And I have my wax hacks video, and I'll put a link in the description for that one too. That basically shows different proportions and different ways to use wax. But I thought, hey, not everybody's going to make their own wax. So if anybody wants this type of finish, you know, it's available. And I mean, this is very unique. I don't know anyone else that sells raw linseed oil or 100% tung oil waxes. It is very unique. And like I said, I just love this stuff because it's such a quick finish. You don't have to let anything dry, yet it's perfect on, you know, nice wood and on top of paint and even on top of polyurethane, and it just makes a surface really smooth. So these are the finishes that I use on the mallets, and I really find that, you know, this is the best way to apply oil on wood because it's just the right amount of oil that penetrates into the wood, and you don't really need, you know, to soak it in oil. It will absorb whatever it needs through this concentration. So I've just over and over and used this, and I've found that this is really what works best, which is why I'm quite excited about this. Somebody recently wrote me and asked about my shop setup. What do I use for lighting? What do I use for cameras? And I just kind of realized I never really talked about that ever. So I thought, let's talk about that. Let's go over what I use and how I film. So starting off right off the bat, one of the most important things is lighting. I have 3 softbox lights, and if you had a bigger shop, especially if the lights were further away, you would need more lighting, but this is a pretty good amount of light for this space. So I picked up these on Amazon, these 3 box lights, softbox lights, and they were pretty cheap. I think I paid around $130 for the 3 of them as a package. And I put 2 of them in, attach them to the beam so that they just kind of stay out of the way. Because that's one thing, I hate having them on the floor and kind of getting in the way, and they really do. Whereas I do have this one here, and I like that because I really like to move it really closely to when I work, because I noticed that makes a very big difference in the camera, the quality of the video, if the light is closer in. So that's what I have in my small shop. So if you had a bigger shop, you would need even more lighting, and especially closer in, because if you have a big shop and you have lighting far away, it's not gonna work as well. So it's really, it makes a big difference if you have lighting closer. These lights are like, I think 5500 or so on the in terms of temperature, and that's important because you don't want to have anything that's too yellow. I want to make sure that I can film in here whether it's night or day. So I want it to look pretty much the same. So during the day I have my lights on, but then during the night, and I have lots of windows here, I have the blinds open, but then at night I shut the blinds and I put the lights on, and it looks pretty much the same. And that's really what I'm going for here. I would say overall that the lighting is really one of the most important things if you want to start filming, because I would say that's even more important than your camera equipment, because more lighting just makes such a big difference in the footage, the quality of the filming, and just to see what you're doing. I'm going to put an affiliate link in the description so you can find these lights if you are in the market for something similar. So moving on to equipment and cameras. So I use 2 DSLRs for the most part when I film. I have someone help me to do the filming sometimes. Sometimes I like 2 angles and sometimes I just have 1. Now the camera I use the most is the one that's being used right now. It's a Canon 60D. And I really like that one because it has the swivel out screen, so I can turn it and see what I'm filming. So that one is really nice. I also have a Canon 7D, which doesn't have that same flip out screen. This is a little higher end model, and the controls are a little bit nicer on this one, but I use them both depending on what I am doing. However, I would really say that the camera body is not really that important when it comes to filming. What really matters are the lenses. So if anything, I would invest in a cheap camera body, a DSLR camera body, and then pick up, spend more focus on the lenses. And I primarily use 3 lenses when I shoot. So the lens that I use the most is a super wide 10-24 lens. And I really like to use that one because it gives everything looks bigger. My small shop looks bigger, and you just get such a wide perspective. You can see a lot of things in the shot. So that is really nice. The other lens that I use a lot is this Tamron. It's a 17-50 with a constant 2.8 aperture. And this one provides a lot of light, so it gives good quality footage. And I like this one a lot because it still provides a pretty wide perspective, but you can really zoom in, so it's a good all-around lens, I would say. I use this one a lot. It's often with me if I go out, if I go to the hardware store or something, and if I want to do some filming. This is usually the one I bring along with me. Then the third lens that I use a lot is this Canon 50mm prime lens. Now this is a 1.4 aperture, so it really lets in a lot of light, which makes it so that you can get really great blur, a lot of bokeh on this lens. Since it is 50mm, that's pretty close in. So I don't use that for like filming, like talking when I'm building or something. This is more like close in when I want to show something. That's why I really like to use one of the wider angle lenses when I talk and overall, and then kind of cut to using this lens, for example, on some closer parts. And really I usually do use the 1.4 too, because I like that blur. And this is really one of my favorite as well when it comes to taking photos, like for Instagram or something. When I want to take some nice looking photos, then I usually use this 50mm lens. This is a Canon. On a personal note, I used to have the 51.8 lens, but it actually broke on me. So that's why I now have this one. another lens that I like to use every once in a while, I don't use this one all the time, that is this Tukina Macro 100. So this is a f2.8, so it's a prime lens, and this is a macro lens. So this is the type of lens you use when you want to take photos of insects or flowers really close up, or you can use it for like portrait photography from far away. And this one I just use every once in a while when I really want to get in close and show some detail really well, like, you know, making chalk paint and the little, you know, the powder and the grout, things like that, when I really want to show some detail. Then this one is really cool. So I don't use it all the time, but every once in a while it's really nice. So the next thing I have to talk about here is old lenses. And this is actually a really good tip. So if you want to start doing video and you don't have a huge budget, but you want really high quality footage, then I would first pick up a cheap camera DSLR body, and it could be a used one. You know, pick one up for like $200–300, something like that. And then I would go out looking for old lenses, you know, in antique stores or on eBay or something like that. Because the old lenses usually much higher quality for the most part. The glasses are really thick. Usually these are quite heavy actually if you compare to the new ones. They're all made out of metal, no plastic. And with these older ones, everything is manual. You have manual focusing, and you also set the aperture manually. And while that might be annoying at times for taking photos, it's actually great for video. And also these focusing rings work so smoothly on these most of the time, and they're really great for video. We have this one is a 35mm in f2. This is a Super Takamura lens. I use this one quite a bit sometimes too, and I like to take this one out on my camera sometimes, and I just feel like a real photographer when I'm using this one. I really like this one. It's really great. This one is probably close to 40 years old, and it still, you know, produces great shots and video. And then I have this Nikon 50–150mm. And so there's more of a, you know, more of a variation in the zoom, and also closer in. And this one is also really nice. I don't use this one quite as much. I did use this one during my pumpkin video. It does have a little bit of a special light to it. And this is a constant 3.5 aperture. The one thing about these is that you need an adapter, and you can easily find these adapters to connect old lenses to newer camera bodies. But anyway, using old lenses is a great option for really good quality. And of course, in terms of the mic, I'm using just a cheap lapel mic. Actually, originally I got a cheap shotgun mic, and I didn't really like it. I couldn't really hear much of a difference in terms of quality, so I returned it, and I just picked up another, you know, one of these pretty cheap lapel mics. And while the quality is much better, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's really kind of annoying with the cord. So I use this mic most of the time. There is a big difference in quality if I use it or if I don't use it. If I just use the mic that's attached, you know, in the camera, that doesn't really sound as good. So I like to use it whenever possible. However, it is a little bit annoying. It's not ideal. I like to upgrade that eventually. So you guys should go over and check out the shop and the new website at darbinorvar.com. And yeah, I have more FAQ questions and about, and just like a little bit more stuff in general, as well as this rather small shop. And yeah, I mean, there's only one of each mallet. I might make more. I don't know if anybody likes them or not, but the waxes are there too. And yeah, just go and check that out. And I have more information like about the lighting and equipment and stuff that I use in general there too. So I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. On, I believe, Wednesday I'm going to try to have the second video on the coffee table, and I'm going to talk about building the base, and I think I'm going to finish it with some wax too, to just give it a little bit of a smoother finish on that too. So hopefully I'll have that out soon. But otherwise, go and check out my main channel, Darbin Orvar, if you happen to find yourself here for the first time. That's where I put up weekly project videos every Friday. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!